Tomorrow, every single person on Earth completely loses the ability to lie. Okay, not actually. But stay with me. Imagine they do. You can't fake a smile. You can't say, I'm almost there when you just woke up. You can't tell your grandma you loved the sweater. And that's only the first 5 minutes. Within hours, relationships begin falling apart, businesses start panicking, governments have a serious problem, and by the end of the week, the world barely resembles the one we know today. So, what would actually happen if nobody could lie for just 7 days? The first surprise is that this would not feel like a cleaner version of normal life. It would feel like someone ripped the padding out of every conversation. Because most lies aren't movie villain lies. They're tiny social cushions. The soft little phrases that keep a breakfast, a meeting, or a marriage from scraping raw against the truth. And here's why that matters. Humans are not built to inspect every sentence like a crime scene. We usually believe people by default. In one huge review of 206 studies, people spotted lies only about 54% of the time. Barely better than guessing. So the real danger isn't that lies exist. It's that our entire world is designed around not checking most of them. Then midnight hits. Day 1. Pure chaos. At first, nothing explodes. There are no sirens, no collapsing buildings, no dramatic global announcement. There is just you, standing in line for coffee. The barista asks how your morning is going, and for the first time, the automatic answer won't come out. You don't say, fine. You say you slept badly, you're dreading your inbox, and the coffee here has gotten worse. Not evil. Just unfiltered. Now multiply that by 8 billion people. Restaurants hear what customers really think. Parents admit they don't want to attend the school fundraiser. A friend asks if you like their new haircut. And the room gets quiet in a way everyone understands. Bella DePaulo's diary studies in the 1990s found something painfully ordinary. College students reported about 2 lies a day. Community adults reported about 1, and a huge share of those lies were about feelings, opinions, and preferences. That means the sweater lie isn't a joke. It's one of the main kinds of lies humans tell. By lunch, people discover the first escape route. Silence. If you can't lie, you can refuse to answer. But here's the thing. Silence has changed meaning overnight. Yesterday, no comment could mean privacy. Today, it usually means the truth is dangerous. And that is when day 2 arrives. Day 2. Relationships implode. This is the day the truth comes home. Not the public truth, the private one. The one hiding in the pause before you say, I'm not mad. The one tucked behind, I like your friends. The one buried under, I forgive you. Affairs surface, hidden debts surface, private resentment surfaces. But the most painful truths aren't always the scandalous ones. Sometimes the truth is just, I'm tired of pretending. Or, I love you, but I don't like this life. Or, I stayed because being alone scared me more. And here's where honesty gets uncomfortable. Some lies are cruelty wearing a mask, but some are clumsy little acts of care. Emma Levine and Maurice Schweitzer found that people can judge kind lies as more moral than harmful truths. Because if your child performs badly in a school play, you may not be lying about the play. You may be trying to tell a deeper truth. I saw you, I care, you matter to me. Truth Week removes the fake compliments, but it also removes the cushion under fragile love. By the end of day 2, couples are not only fighting about facts. They're fighting about which truths should ever have been spoken. And then everyone goes to work. Day 3. Work stops working. The office has always had 2 versions of reality. The official one on the slide deck, and the real one whispered after the meeting. On day 3, those 2 realities collide. A manager asks if the deadline is realistic. The team says no. A client asks if the product is ready. The answer is not even close. An executive asks why morale is low, and suddenly morale explains itself in complete sentences. Organizational researchers call part of this employee silence. People know something is broken, but saying it feels unsafe. Truth Week destroys that silence all at once. And here's the midweek turn. The biggest payoff is still coming because truth doesn't just expose bad people, it exposes systems that were never safe enough for honesty. Job interviews become almost funny. One review found studies where 81% of applicants admitted at least one lie in their last interview. Other studies found faking tactics almost everywhere. So the candidate says the resume bullet is inflated, the recruiter says the salary range is misleading, and the hiring manager says the last person quit because this boss is unbearable. At first, work stops because people are offended. Then work stops because everyone is overwhelmed. Then the smartest workplaces realize what just happened. They have received the most valuable consulting report in history. Every fake metric, every useless meeting, every unsafe process. Amy Edmondson's research on 51 teams found that psychological safety helps teams learn from what goes wrong. So day 3 doesn't only punish workplaces, it separates the ones that wanted truth from the ones that only advertised it. Then day 4 hits the places where truth is most dangerous. Day 4. Politics. Politics doesn't just run on lies, it runs on public faces. On pretending to be certain when you're guessing. On pretending to support a policy because everyone around you seems to support it. Timur Kuran called this preference falsification. You publicly say one thing because the private cost of honesty is too high. And when everyone does that, a society can look stable right up until it isn't. On day 4, leaders can't deny scandals they know are true. Diplomats can't bluff across long tables. Candidates can't promise a fix they know they don't have. And authoritarian governments face something even stranger. They lose the ability to measure loyalty through performance. Because now the person chanting support may have to say they hate the whole thing. The most destabilizing political truth is not always, the leader lied. It's everyone knew, but everyone thought they were alone. Prentice and Miller found this pattern in college drinking culture in 1993. Students privately felt more uncomfortable than they thought their peers did. Scale that feeling to a nation. Millions of people suddenly learned their private doubt was shared. That is when protests begin. Not because everyone learned a new fact, because everyone learned they were not alone. And then day 5 turns the whole premise darker. Day 5. Crime. At first it sounds simple. Ask a suspect what happened. If they're guilty and they answer, they can't deny it. Witnesses can't knowingly lie in court. Corrupt officers can't falsify reports. Informants can't invent stories for a deal. But Truth Week doesn't magically force people to speak. So guilty people learn very quickly. Say nothing. And there is another problem. A false statement is not always a lie. A witness can sincerely misremember a face. A victim can sincerely identify the wrong person. A suspect under pressure can come to believe a story that isn't true. The Innocence Project reports that 29% of its DNA exoneration cases involved false confessions. That is not a small footnote. It is a warning. Truthfulness removes intentional deception. It does not repair memory. It does not remove fear. And it does not make power harmless. In the United States, a 1969 Supreme Court case is often cited for allowing certain deceptive interrogation tactics. False claims like, "Your accomplice already confessed." On day 5, that tool disappears. But so do protective lies. A domestic violence victim may need to lie about where they are. A child may need to lie to an unsafe adult. An undercover journalist may need a false name to expose abuse. So day 5 is not crime solved. It's worse and more honest than that. The same force that makes criminals confess can help predators ask better questions. By day 6, truth becomes economic. Day 6. Economy. Mourning begins with exposure. Fake invoices, hidden liabilities, bribes, cooked books, the association of certified fraud. Examiners studied 2,402 occupational fraud cases across 143 countries in its 2026 report. The losses in those cases topped $3.4 billion. So yes, fraud gets hit hard, and some markets get cleaner almost immediately. A used car seller has to reveal the transmission problem. A real estate agent has to mention the leak they know about. A startup founder has to admit the AI is 3 interns and a spreadsheet. George Akerlof wrote about this kind of problem in 1970 in The Market for Lemons. When sellers know the defects and buyers don't, trust breaks. Truth Week fixes some of that. But finance is not just facts, it is confidence. And confidence is fragile when everyone is suddenly honest about uncertainty. A bank executive can truthfully say, "We are solvent if people stay calm," and also truthfully say, "We are in trouble if everyone withdraws today." Diamond and Dybvig showed how bank runs can become rational when fear spreads. So the morning celebrates honesty. The afternoon asks every CEO what they are hiding. And the evening learns that the honest answer is often risks we can't fully measure. Lies are expensive. But unfiltered uncertainty is expensive too. Then comes day 7. And this is the twist. Day 7. The world does not become truthful. It becomes legible. You can finally read the hidden structure, where people were scared, where institutions punished honesty, where love needed tenderness, not interrogation, and where someone had been exploiting trust for years. The strangest part is that most people were probably not lying constantly. In a national survey of 1,000 US adults, 60% reported 0 lies in the previous 24 hours. And about half of all reported lies came from just 5% of people. Think about that for a second. Truth Week is not rain falling evenly on everyone. It's spotlights turning on in specific rooms. The chronic liar's room, the fraudster's room, the corrupt official's room, the institution that survived by making truth risky. But here's the final problem. Truthfulness is not the same as truth. A lie requires intent. So if someone sincerely believes something false, they can still say it. A conspiracy believer can still spread a false claim. A mistaken eyewitness can still testify. A deluded person can still be completely honest and completely wrong. So after 7 days, the world would not choose permanent radical honesty. It would build safer ways for truth to appear before the damage gets this big. More written records, more whistleblower protection, more audits, less worship of charisma, and a better distinction between privacy, tact, secrecy, and deception. Because civilization is not built on perfect honesty, it is built on trust, consequences, mercy, and the hope that the worst lies will eventually meet the light. A week without lies would not reveal a world of pure truth. It would reveal all the truths people were already trying to tell. The question is whether anyone had made it safe enough to hear them,